On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, it's the Border War preview. Kenny, Payton, and I talked for about 30 minutes, previewed the Kansas game, talked some storylines, talked about the game being back as well, what it kind of is meaning to the Mizzou fan base with the first year of it coming back, kind of the reaction and the build up to it, what Drinkwitz has done with bringing speakers and stuff to kind of hype the players up. We talked about the context of the game and then broke it down, talked about strengths and the weaknesses for both teams, kind of what Mizzou could maybe exploit on Saturday where Kansas might have some advantages. So very good breakdown preview of the game. Very exciting one. Kenny and Payton will both be there. I will not. I'll be from home, which means I will probably have a solo pod just immediately after. I'll give my thoughts. I'll try and get some thoughts from Payton and Kenny as well. They'll obviously be in the stadium, so we'll see how much they're able to send to me, but I'll read some takes from them from the game. We'll do a quick solo pod after. It'll be, well, I guess fun if Mizzou wins. Probably not so fun if they lose. But yeah, we'll have a solo pod after going up on Saturday. So stick around for that kind of in the later portion of the afternoon. Just from me, I promise I'll share my screen. It won't just be my mug for the whole time. But we will have a solo pod even with those two gone just to get some kind of quick reaction. And then obviously we'll break it down further on either Sunday or Monday when they're both back. So there's some scheduling stuff. But yeah, we had a great preview, and then Payton and I did quick hits, some good stuff in there. Kenny sent us a bunch of rankings, and then Payton's computer dies at the end, which is quite funny. So there you go. Great show, big game, very exciting. Let's get into it. The Border War preview starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Friday, September 5th. We are brought to you on the Believe Network by FanDuel. We're back also after a bit of a hiatus, fellas. We didn't have a show on Monday. Didn't do much Central Arkansas cleanup, which is okay. We have the only thing I think really is a couple injury things, which we can knock out at the top. But it's the biggest preview of the season so far. It is the Border War preview. Missouri plays Kansas in just over, I guess, 48 hours from around when we're recording this. It's around 2:15 on Thursday. They will play at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Saturday. ESPN2 is the channel for it. SEC Nation will be down in Columbia. No College Game Day decided not to make the trip. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Mizzou's second game of the season is very exciting. The return, of course, of the Border War. That's where I'm going to start, and then we'll get into some game stuff. This is obviously a return of a huge rivalry, a rivalry that is, kind of before all three of our time as Mizzou fans. Payton, a little bit of an exception, kind of growing up in Kansas City. But even you, Payton, with as far back as it goes in 2011, you were fairly young when Mizzou joined the SEC, but from some numbers on it, Missouri leads the series 57-54 overall. There have been 9 ties. The last game, of course, in 2011, Mizzou with the 21-10 win in Kansas City for that game. Missouri would technically increase its win streak to 4 against Kansas with a win. It's if going back to when the rivalry ended. The longest winning streak on that note, too, is 5 games. So if this keeps going and Mizzou keeps winning, they can extend that. I did also note this down. 1986, fellas, was the largest margin of victory for Mizzou, 48-0. Kansas's largest margin of victory in this was a 32-0 win in 1930, which I think if you did like an inflation adjusted in 1930 for scoring 32 points, that's probably like 250 in today's points because you had games ending like 6-3 half the time. So very exciting stuff. I'm going to start with you with this. And also we should note 2 out of the 3 members of this podcast will be at the game. Payton will be in the stands. Kenny, of course, in the press box for it, covering it, which is very exciting. We'll have plenty of representation on the field. I'm sure we'll tweet out some photos or send them to the bot to tweet out. But Payton, I want to start this with you as we just talk about the rivalry before we get into the game itself, especially given that you're going, I mentioned, we're on the younger side as are, the Mizzou students, all of the players in this game, we're very young when this rivalry first went away. What does the return of it mean kind of to you and, obviously being plugged into this Mizzou fan base? What do you think it means to on the Mizzou side of things in terms of the chippiness of it? This feels like something that, hopefully it keeps going and keeps getting scheduled. It can kind of reach its chippiness again. But I think this still means a lot to a lot of people that this is coming back. And even the first iteration of it this season, it means a lot to people even our age, even though we haven't seen the rivalry in a long time. What are your kind of thoughts in terms of just the excitement that this is back, especially that you're going to be in the stands on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously it's really cool. I mean, just with the way college football in general is going, you don't get a whole ton of just classic rivalry matchups like this, or just not as often. It's more infrequent. Just from that standpoint, it's very cool. I think this is also one of the more obviously historically charged rivalries, to say the least. You just look at just what people say online. It's pretty charged up for it. I will also say, I hate to just bring it straight to the college basketball side of it already, but that's the closest thing we have. We were at the Kansas border war game when it returned to Columbia in 2022, and that was an atmosphere unlike anything I had ever been kind of accustomed to. So I can only imagine how it is for football. Obviously, there's more to it than just the rivalry itself. Missouri is a team that has, I'm sure, playoff aspirations. Kansas is already 2-0. And it's not often that you say it, but I do feel like Missouri's season is totally on the line in week 2 this season. I don't think there's a world that exists where Missouri winds up having a season that we all consider really successful. If it doesn't involve a win against Kansas.
Kenny, I'm curious on your side of that. I have a two-parter for you because you, of course, are kind of on the beat. You're on one of those message boards where you see the discourse among fans. What's kind of the feeling for them with this coming back, especially maybe some of the older fans who, of course, remember, and I don't mean old as in super old. It was just 2011, but some of the fans who remember some of these historic games. I'm curious your thoughts on what you've read from their perspective. And then also from a team perspective, I know Eli Drinkwitz has brought in, speakers and people to kind of give context to this throughout the offseason to sort of fire his guys up and make them understand, what this rivalry means to the fan base. Just your thoughts on those two things from what you've seen over the past, I guess, few months, on the message board space.
Yeah, I've said it before. Our crowd is a little bit older at Mizzou today, so it's a lot of reminiscing, a lot of games that I've never heard of. Matchups that have happened in the '80s, '90s, even before then. And I'll be honest with it too. I didn't think I knew what the border war was until I enrolled at the University of Missouri. The last game that happened, I was 10 or 11 years old, and even before then, I probably didn't even watch a Missouri football game. I think the first one I would have watched was against Texas A&M in the early 2010s because that was just the teams that I would watch growing up. And even after that, you just kind of learning a lot as time goes. And I think that was kind of the case for a lot of these Mizzou football players with such a national recruiting sphere for the Tigers these days, going out and getting transfers from all across the country. A lot of these guys didn't grow up with it. It's not like Brady Cook is going to be under center in this game. It's not like someone who grew up hating the opponent is going to be the one manning quarterback. Bo Perillo learned a lot about it. He said that in Tuesday's press conference. And I think the one big thing I took from Eli Drinkwitz is that there was a lot of preparation that went in with this and over the last couple of months and bringing speakers in and, establishing the history, but also not letting the emotions take over. You want to be fiery. You want to come out fast. You want to play your own game. You don't want to let, the past dictate how you're going to feel in that game. You're going to treat it, like they always say, like the nameless, faceless opponent. And I think in this aspect, you have to embrace who you're playing and embrace the history of this matchup. But at the same time, you can't let that just take over. You have to play your own game. You have to just treat it as it's just another opponent. And I think that's one big thing that they've kind of pushed for this week is that, yes, there's a lot of history here and you do know that history now just from the last couple of months, but also play your own game. This is the game that matters. You have to win this game. Like Payton said, if they lose this game, they're probably in line to maybe a couple swing games, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 in the SEC. And if those don't all go your way, you're not really in the best shape for the postseason.
Right. I think you guys are both right in terms of the context. And even, I've thought about this and maybe I've done this the right way where I've had a lot of I've just moved to a new state in the last like couple of weeks. And I feel like that was a smart distraction because every time I have a free moment to think about this game and think about Saturday, I'm like, man, my whole mood for the next, several weeks at least is going to be dictated by how this game goes. And I think even as someone again who also didn't grow up around the rivalry, who didn't, who got accustomed to this as he got to college and went to Mizzou, I think that kind of contextualizes how it is for people who have been around it for a long time. And I think I hope, like it already seems to have gotten in basketball, especially with that Mizzou win last year. I hope it reaches the levels that it did in terms of intensity because the game sticks around. And of course, it's not going to mean as much, literally with Mizzou not being in the same conference, but I'm hoping it can reach that kind of level. And it's exciting. You have that dark documentary I touched on in our last show in Quick Hits that's coming out about the 2007 game. So it's exciting stuff. But let's get into the game itself. You mentioned Kenny. It's Drinkwitz he's done all this to prepare his guys for the importance. Now it's all about taking care of business on the field for Mizzou. A couple of lines for you guys before we start and talk about a little bit about Kansas and things Mizzou might exploit. FanDuel has broken this game down. You can go place a ton of bets over there if you want. Missouri is -6.5 still. 245 is the money line. Over under 50.5 for this game. They do have on offer. You can pick the Mizzou defense to be an anytime touchdown score at +650, which I think is kind of fun. Just anyone on the defense. Another little prop I liked: Missouri to score every quarter is +138. If you want to bet on them to not score a touchdown and get shut out by Kansas, maybe if you're a Kansas fan, hate watching this show beforehand, it's +2200. So that's quite big. Couple parlays you can take Missouri to win and the over +170. Missouri to win the under +185. And that you can take Missouri -5.5 in the over or Missouri -5.5 in the under. Those are +220 and +250. So the books like Mizzou. I think preseason we all picked Mizzou. Let's talk a little bit about their opponent first thing. Kansas coming in. Lance Leipold is in his 5th season there, which is kind of like unbelievable. I still feel like he's kind of the new kid on the block somewhat to me. This kind of fun. He was a D3 coach, came up to Kansas. It's already his 5th year. They went 5-7 last year, started the year 1-5. They have been much better this season. Payton touched on it. They beat Fresno State 31-7 in week 0, and Wagner 46-7 in week 1. This is a new thing I want to do for each of Mizzou's opponents, guys. I'm going to read you some blue chippers that I deemed from the other teams that they play. This is who I wrote for Kansas. Jalen Daniels had a bad season last year. He's been good this year. 36-45, 456 yards, 7 touchdowns so far in those 2 games. Their running back, Daniel Hinshaw Jr., has been pretty good. He's got 160 yards and a touchdown. I wrote down their leading receiver, Emmanuel Henderson, 154 yards and a touchdown so far this year. He transferred from Alabama. Their center, Bryce Foster, he was one of their best offensive linemen last year. Decent run block grades. And then on defense, Dean Miller, defensive end. DJ Withers, a defensive tackle. DJ Graham, a corner. And Taylor Davis, a safety. All those guys put up pretty good numbers last year in 2024. I want to start with Daniels, you guys, because this was a guy who did not have a good season last year. From everything I've read, the musings from the Kansas side is that he's in a much better spot. And it seems like Kansas is going to go as he goes this year, and he's looked good. Missouri's had some interesting games against mobile quarterbacks. What do they have to do? What are you guys looking for them to do defensively to try and contain him and not let Jalen Daniels take over games? Because we've seen that. He's been in college football for a long time, and he's taken over some games in the past. And Kansas, like I said, kind of goes as he goes. What are you looking for Mizzou to do against their quarterback, Jalen Daniels, on Saturday?
Well, yeah, Daniels, obviously, the question with him has always been health, not really performance on the field. I think that Drinkwitz himself this week said he was like one of the more unique quarterbacks Missouri has had to face. Like maybe like he said, unlike anything they've ever seen, if I'm not mistaken, Kenny. But I don't know that I'd go that far. I mean, they played the Heisman winner a couple of years ago, but I mean, that really is the X factor to me is can Missouri just keep Kansas off the board. I really do think that this is a game that probably will be, if you can hold Kansas to like if Kansas gets into your side of the field a lot, but they're settling for field goals, I think you can take that. It's going to come down to, I think Missouri needs to. I think everyone would agree that going into this game, Missouri is the much more athletic and talented team, probably. That's no knock on Kansas. Kansas has been a pretty dangerous team the last couple of years, but I think Missouri's D line needs to kind of flex its muscle in this one a lot. I think we need to see Zion Young and Damon Wilson. They both need to, obviously, like you said, Nolan, keeping Daniels like contained and not letting him just become a dynamic playmaker that he's capable of being. That's going to be the biggest thing for me. I think it's going to come down to the edge rushers mostly. Can they make him uncomfortable? Can they kind of live in the backfield a bit? They didn't get to do it against Central Arkansas. Central Arkansas was absolutely not going to take more than 1 second on a drop back. I think you're going to see more of that this week, though.
Yeah, especially with that, even with losing guys like Johnny Walker and Christian Williams, 2 veterans on your defensive line, you're still in a better shape, I think, this year with that front. And you go back to last year, you talk about some of these rushing quarterbacks, these dual threat guys that kind of put Mizzou in some fits at times. Thomas Castellanos was a big one, who goes by Tommy now. I thought that was kind of interesting. They could keep calling him Tommy at Florida State. We knew him as Thomas at Boston College.
It was a good change, clearly, for his week 1
game.
Yeah,
it worked out well for him. And so, I mean, with Castellanos, Diego Pavia, Lenore Sellers, I mean, there were times where Mizzou was just kind of trying to contain and then burst right up the middle. I mean, quarterbacks were picking up yardage. And even some of those quarterbacks, those rushing ones, they threw for the most passing touchdowns. Kyle McReevy, my coworker over at On3 and Rivals, he pointed this out, that Mizzou allowed 14 total passing touchdowns across 13 games last season. 10 total came from Thomas Castellanos, Diego Pavia, and Lenore Sellers. I think that's just kind of like an interesting point of like some of these dual threat guys have kind of, had their way at times with Missouri, even though Mizzou went 2-1 in those games and barely lost to South Carolina on the road against Lenore Sellers. I think you're looking for a big response from that from the linebacker group as well and the defensive line, and how they can contain a guy who's already off to a good start this year. I mean, there were some people that saw Jalen Daniels, if, I think maybe in a more joking way, if Kansas can really string out a bunch of wins, to be in New York in December. I think that's something that people wanted to point out, that he has a lot of these intangibles and also a lot of these skills that a lot of other quarterbacks don't as a dual threat guy. And I don't necessarily think that Kansas will put itself in a position to where he is a Heisman candidate, but if he's healthy and he's, has a lot of experience and he's a veteran in this game, he got an extra year of eligibility to play this season. There is just a lot to be kind of worried about Jalen Daniels, but also, I mean, a lot of positives with how much this Mizzou defense has improved, and it's been the strongest unit. I mean, you can say that dating back to Blake Baker in 2022.
I think you hit the nail on the head for me with Jalen Daniels. Missouri has a knack for making these running quarterbacks look so good at passing the football. I mean, that was the most frustrating part of those Boston College and Vanderbilt games, was these guys were just able. It was less of the big bursting runs, but more they just slither out of the pocket and then just deliver a strike to a wide open, receiver. And I think part of that was because, Missouri did get some pressure. You've got these mobile quarterbacks that are able to escape, get out of the pocket a little bit. And then, I think for me, you have to have these Missouri DBs stay locked in on their assignments, locked in on their zones. You can't have these wide receivers like slipping free and just getting wide open, because Jalen Daniels is going to have some elusiveness even when Missouri brings pressure on him. But I think you're right. The best way to probably prevent those kinds of plays from happening, to go back to Payton's point, is the defensive ends, the edge rushers, getting pressure into the backfield and hitting him early, getting him on the ground early, I think will be big. Make him uncomfortable in that pocket, make him, worried to scramble, I think is a big thing. And actually it goes into a point where I do think Missouri can really exploit that with Kansas. This is not a proven Kansas offensive line. They lost both their tackles last year who went to the NFL. Their best run blocker was Logan Brown, who is, I think, on the Browns now. Very fitting. 82 run block grade. And then Bryce Cabledew is, I think, how you say his name. He had an 80 pass block grade. He's on the Seahawks. So they're both gone. They replaced him with, actually, Kenny, shout out to you, Enrique Cruz Jr., who's a Syracuse transfer. And then their other tackle is Calvin Clements, who's a redshirt sophomore. So I think there's some real opportunity on the edge for Mizzou here to get pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, you mentioned their center being one of their best players earlier.
Blue
I think
chipper.
yeah, I believe there's a good chance for this to be a big game for Chris McClellan because, I mean, like you said, just all those new faces on the O line. I think there's a chance here if they can get if they can maybe get Gracial to eat some gaps up. I think there's a good chance McClellan could be sprung free. We've seen it before. He's had pass rush juice in the past, no doubt about it. I think there's a chance here for him to really kind of maybe not even just as a pass rusher, but just control the run game. I think this is a game where Missouri really, really. I mentioned the athleticism. I think they absolutely need to show it in the trenches. I think they need to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I'll be honest, the defensive line is not the unit I'm more concerned with doing that, winning the line of scrimmage battle. But I do think it's important. I don't think you can let Kansas come out and run the ball for 5, 6 or 7 yards a pop. I think that if they get comfortable, it's going to soften Mizzou up, open them up for play action, and it's going to turn into a game I don't think Missouri is going to want to play.
Even with like a lot of like these worries, when we pointed out, we try to, this could just happen where Mizzou comes out and wins 45-7. Like it's just one of those things where, we point out a lot of these, struggles. But I do think, like Payton said, there's a lot of talent here on the Missouri side. It's an SEC team. It's like it's not like there's not much conference balance anymore. It's the SEC and Big Ten, and when you have a lot of guys coming into a Missouri team that's won double-digit, games to back-to-back seasons, you're expecting to handle this game. But it's also a rivalry, and I think that's one big thing. It's like both of these teams understand it. If both of these teams know what this means on both sides for the fan bases, then they should both be playing up to the competition. I mean, it doesn't really matter who's on the field. But I think there's still, we could talk about all these struggles in the world or, not struggles, but things to worry about, keys to the game. I still think there's a lot of people that probably believe Missouri will handily win this one. And I think even with the 6.5 being at home, there's probably some people that might see this as a 2-score game.
Yeah, I think that's
I'm glad Kenny kind of brought that up. Like, even though like Missouri probably on paper is a lot more talented, he brought up the rivalry kind of. I do think rivalries are kind of the great equalizer. And I think that's why I'm pretty happy with the job Drinkwitz has done preparing them. Obviously, you have to kind of, at a certain aspect, say play your game, just kind of nameless, faceless opponent. But I do think when it comes to a game like this, you do kind of have to know your history about it, kind of know what you're getting into. And I mean, like Kenny mentioned, Drinkwitz bringing in speakers for like the last 2 months on this rivalry is huge. I really do think that will at least give you some sort of mental advantage. I mean, we talk about. I talked about earlier the Kansas game in basketball, like coming back to Columbia. That was Dennis Gates' first season. Dennis Gates very clearly had no idea what that rivalry was all about, and they did not look prepared for it at all, and they got absolutely run over. I think Drinkwitz kind of maybe not looking at that specifically and taking a page out of the book and preparing them for it is a good move, but I don't think he did that. But I do think him preparing them specifically for this game, for the environment they're stepping into, I think that is a big part of this.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you're right. I think Drinkwitz has done a good job. I think it's a real skill if you can take a quarterback from Pennsylvania and make him care about this so deeply. If you can take these kids from Georgia and West Virginia and everywhere else and make them care about, what this rivalry means. I think that's a real skill. And yeah, I think I still like inspecting the X's and O's of it all. And I think you're right. The rivalry can throw some of it, in limbo. But to go back to, I think it goes back to the trenches. I feel like that is where this game is going to get won and lost. Because of course, we gloss over it a little bit, but this is a Mizzou line that played very poorly to start that Central Arkansas game. Didn't, looked bad at times and shaky at others is I think the best way I can put it. The other, I think caveat of that, this is a Kansas team that, they don't have Devin Neal at running back anymore. I think people like Hinshaw, who's coming in, but it's also a Mizzou linebacker core that is a lot better than Kansas because of some injuries. They have I know their starter, who's a South Carolina transfer, Kamara, is out, and a couple others. So you've got a second level, I think, for Mizzou that has a little bit of an edge there. But Kansas has some dogs in the trenches too. I mean, Dean Miller, who I mentioned, 32 tackles, 6 sacks. DJ Withers is defensive tackle. He had 3 sacks and 21 tackles last year. So, there's some experience there that can get at Mizzou's offensive line if there isn't some improvement. So I think that probably is the biggest concern for me too, Payton. And then the other one, of course, you mentioned a rivalry. It could be a lot closer than it maybe would be if it's a nameless faces opponent. What happens when it has to come down to either a Northwest Oklahoma kicker or a true freshman with Craig the Leg, Blake Craig out? I mean, that's a big factor for Mizzou on the injury front. You talk about the linebackers for Kansas. That's another where I have, and I'm just touching on that as well because we, of course, haven't recorded since it was released that Sam Horn will be out for an extended period and Blake Craig missing the season. Non-kicking leg injury, right, Kenny? Is that what Drinkwood says? Not on his kicking leg, but he tore his ACL.
He still got to plant that foot.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, he tried him out there in a boot. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that was one thing people kept pointing out. I was like, oh, hell, he still kicks with his right foot. Well, got to put the other one on the ground too. Maybe that is a plus, but
see how that
maybe
goes
that is a plus. But if one leg's not up to par, I think it's going to be hard to kick no matter what.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Any other notes, and then we make our score predictions here.
I mean, we really didn't talk about like the offensive side of the ball. I do think there's some pretty good reasons for optimism here. I mean, that's another thing that you mentioned. I mean, now you're down to your backup kicker. You kind of have to hope. I know Robert Meyer, Kenny kind of give some background on him, is like a legit prospect and everything, like a highly rated kicker, but you don't want your backup kicker to be in a position where in his first like starting kicker game, he has to maybe make a game winner. But also, I mean, Bo Prabula plays a real, let's say, aggressive style of quarterback. He'll take off and run. He'll take body blows. I mean, he took a nasty hit against Central Arkansas last week. And I mean, now you're in a position where it's a true freshman who himself had a major injury last year as your backup. So Drinkwood said he's not going to pull back the reins at all. Bo's going to be Bo, which I think is good. I think Bo Prabula, we saw it a bit last week. The potential, I mean, it's only his second start, so I don't want to make sweeping predictions. The potential for someone like Bo Prabula is so high, especially if he's hitting throws like he was last week. I think that is a matchup nightmare for Kansas, especially if they're missing as many linebackers as they are. It's going to be tough to spy Bo Prabula. If he breaks contain, it's going to be kind of messy, I would presume, for Kansas. But also, I mean, they're a very young corner room. I mean, on PFF, their top 2 listed corners on the outside are a redshirt freshman and a sophomore. So maybe you see Drinkwitz kind of get or Drink and Kirby kind of get creative to kind of test those two on the outside. I think it all comes down to the O-line, because I do think Missouri is going to try and just establish like their will. I think they're going to try and pound the rock. Just kind of get Ahmad Hardy going, and it's going to come down to if the O-line is ready to go or not. I'm optimistic, but I would hardly call anything a slam dunk. I think Bo Prabula and the offense will be able to do what they want to do, but games aren't played on paper.
They're not played on paper. Yeah, I agree. I think there's some good secondary stuff. I wrote down the safety Taylor Davis in my blue chippers. He was good last year. He had like 33 tackles, but not exactly a threat like he was. I think he's more of a hard-hitting safety. And then they got DJ Graham from Utah State, who had 3 picks last year. He played at Oklahoma for forever too, but that was kind of it in the secondary. So I do think if Prabula's arm can look as good as it did against Central Arkansas, I think Missouri should, in theory, be in business for this. But yeah, it's going to be big. Again, I think it's going to all come down to, kind of the trenches and who can run the ball better, not to sound like an old head, but you got to run the dang ball. And I like Missouri to do that a little bit better. That feeds into our score predictions. This is kind of fun because you can actually throw some odds on here from FanDuel for our a correct score, which is I sometimes like to throw a little play on just because it's really fun. You're usually tossing away money because it's hard to pick it, and the odds are are pretty insane. But fellas, I know you have your scores ready. Give me your prediction for Missouri, Kansas, and give me a game MVP.
My head is screaming at me to just not say the score I want to say. I like so badly don't want to pick a blowout because it absolutely won't be a blowout if I pick it. So I won't pick a blowout. I am going to say Robert Meyer hits a couple kicks, one of them in the fourth quarter. I'm going to go against my better judgment. I'm going to trust the special teams unit to make a couple plays. I think Missouri runs the ball well. I think Bo Pribula stays pretty clean. I don't think he'll have any turnovers or anything like that. I'm going to say Missouri wins this game 34-27.
34-27. Okay, Payton.
The funny thing is, like, my score is also going to be separated by 7 points. I'm just going to stick with the ones I made in the preseason, unless like something drastically changes with this Mizzou team in the next couple of weeks or just late into the year. I'm going to stick with 27-20. Funny thing is, if like this game is separated by a touchdown, I believe Peyton and I both get a point just in our kind of score predictions that go with that. So you better try something different there, Jack, with yours.
Game MVP Bo Pribula, by the way.
Okay, that's a good one too. I was thinking that as well, but I'm going to go Kevin Coleman on this one. I think maybe there's a big offensive game there for him. I think we even saw it in the first week. There were times where Bo Pribula really kind of leaned on him just, on the outside. And I thought he had some really good outside throws as well. He had great reads over the middle, tracking safeties, tracking corners on, quarters, are guys going to match, who's going to drop, who's not. There was, good breakdowns of that as well. But if, Kevin Coleman's the most veteran wide receiver in this room. He's playing up against, a Big 12 opponent. He's played in the ACC, he's played in the SEC, played at Jackson State. He's been everywhere. I think you're looking at a guy that could probably go up against some of those young corners that Payton was talking about, or even if on the inside, if he's lined up on a bigger safety or a linebacker, I think you're really going to rely on Kevin Coleman in this one.
I like it. 34-17 Payton on FanDuel's plus 15,000, by the way. 27-20. A little bit better for you, Kenny, plus 10,000. So you got a little bit better odds on that. I am going to go different because of what you guys both just said. I am going to go. It is actually, wait, am I doing my math right here? I'm not going different. Ooh, maybe I should change it to go.
You can't do the number 7 difference between two numbers.
Well, I have a 6-point difference.
So it is different.
I guess it is different. So I can kind of press right you. I did my math wrong. I'm not going to lie. Did my math wrong.
What's your score?
I'm going 30-24 Missouri as my
that
pick.
Is different.
It is different. I did the math wrong. And Payton, great minds think alike. Because the first name I believe you mentioned when we started talking about Missouri was Zion Young. I'm going Zion Young as my game MVP. I think he gets a couple sacks. I really think he can have a difference on the edge against these somewhat inexperienced Kansas O linemen. I think it has to be a really good big game for those tackles. They have a veteran center, but I like Mizzou to kind of win that battle on the edge. And I think Zion Young, he's been at the program for a while. I know this is their first game against Kansas, but to me, he's a guy who will, have a little bit better of a grasp on what this game means than some of the transfers. And I think he's going to step up and be the game MVP. I think he gets a sack on Mr. Daniels.
I like that.
We didn't mention either. Jalen Daniels does turn the ball over like 12 interceptions last year. So, if maybe
Steve thrown any this year?
1, 7-1. Okay. So there you go. I got plus 12,500 on my score.
Can't believe Kenny, if you're watching on the YouTube, has flashed the picks last week. He got the point for last week for 51-0. If I just hadn't thrown a lousy field goal into Central Arkansas score, I would have had that one.
Oh wow, Kenny totally won the game MVP too. I forgot about this.
Who was it, Bo?
He said Santana Banner.
How did he win?
He did not return. He did not have the pick 6. Dante McClellan had the pick 6.
had the pick 6.
And you're only thinking about that because I said
Santana Banner didn't do that.
We've had this conversation already, Jack, in the last couple of days that he did not have the pick 6.
You're so right. I clearly I didn't remember that.
What were the predictions? What did I say?
You said Ahmad Hardy. I said Kevin Coleman. So you're probably more right than I am, Payton.
I would say I probably win
by
because the other options were Kevin Coleman, who was fine but didn't
I don't think.
light the world up, and then Kenny picked Santana Banner.
I don't know why I get them mixed up in my head. They need to play more.
Me neither.
Well, whatever. I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to Santana on it. All right. That's it. Mizzou, Kansas prediction. Our picks are in. Very exciting game. We'll have reports from it from Kenny and Payton. Go follow Kenny. I mean, you'll have Kenny and Kyle over at Mizzou today. They'll have live coverage of it all day long. How early are you getting there, Kenny? When I covered Mizzou, the return for basketball, I was there at 8 a.m. for a 4 p.m. tip-off.
I don't think you can get in until 3 hours before. So
Well, not the stadium, but you walk around.
I don't think I'm going to walk around. No, I'll definitely walk around, but I'm probably not going to do a walk around story out of it. Maybe a little something more newspapery, but
Yeah.
I'll get there as early as I can. I'm leaving St. Louis at like 6 a.m., 7.
There you go. Peyton, how about you? You're gonna be first in line.
I
for
plan
that.
on trying to get in there as soon as gates open. I mean, it seemed pretty chaotic for Central Arkansas. I will not miss a snap of this game. That's kind of my goal. So
I will be glued to my television set. I wish you all have the best of time at the game, but I will be locked in as well. Very fun game. Have fun if you're going. And yeah, I'm hoping to get some good reports from you too about how rowdy the atmosphere is, because I think that'll be very exciting. Because I was also in the building for the return for basketball, and it was unlike anything I've experienced. And I imagine
all of us were.
I imagine Faro. I said also.
I said all of us earlier.
I know. Okay, whatever. All right.
Am I getting them right now or what?
That will do it for the preview. I need to stop before these two infuriate me into oblivion. Peyton and I will finish the show with quick hits on the other side. Okay, quick hits time. We finish up the show. Peyton, speak for Kenny. What is his jersey of the week?
Kenny's jersey of the week, I guess it's just going to be someone on the Missouri Tigers because he chose this headline from On3. ESPN reveals updated top 25 SP Plus college football rankings for week 2. SP Plus, of course, put together by Mizzou alum, I believe, Bill Connolly at ESPN. It's like a predictive metric, and it's very bullish on your Missouri Tigers because it has Missouri all the way up to 16 after their week 1 romping of the Central Arkansas Bears.
Love the metrics.
Metrics like Mizzou.
Like Mizzou. Is this just the equivalent of like Ken Palm? What do we?
It's sort of. It's like basically doing kind of the same thing as Ken Palm. Yes.
Okay, I can get on board with that then, as I know you can as well. Considering our affinity
for Missouri. I mean, you look at some of the teams they're in front of. They're in front of A&M, Notre Dame, Clemson's down there. I mean, it's a good list to be in front of.
Yeah. Ken Palm liked Mizzou too. Metrics team.
Mm-hmm.
Metrics school. Metrics Mizzou. All right. What's your jersey of the week?
My jersey of the week is going to go to any of Keegan Trost, Marquise Johnson, Dante McClellan, or Jeremiah Beasley because they were on the week 1 PFF team of the week. Missouri tweeted it. Again, very, very productive week for Missouri against Central Arkansas. Good to see Keegan Trost get that kind of love as well. I mean, if they could at least get some stability on that line, that's going to be very helpful.
Thank you, Max.
Yes, Max Chadwick, obviously.
Thank you, Chad Maxwick, for voting. We know he's the only one that picks. Yeah, it's actually just him picking. It's not real numbers. It's just, of course, it's just him picking. My jersey or jerseys of the week are going to go to. Thank you, Peyton. My jerseys of the week are going to go to Sean Witherspoon, Denario Alexander, Jeremy Macklin, Justin Britt, and Marcus Golden. They will all be signing autographs from 12:30 to 1:30 right before the Border War game. So there you go. If you go to the Tiger fan zone at those times, you can go get a autograph from any of those Mizzou legends. Pretty cool. I'm glad you can already see signs that the alumni are absolutely gonna hopefully they're gonna roll deep with former players and all that stuff for a game like this. So that's pretty cool for Tiger fans of Border Wars gone by.
Yes.
You can see all of
Justin Britt. I mean, I think he posted on his Instagram story. He was like driving through Lawrence and like flipped off the stadium or something. He posted on his Instagram story. So
That's awesome. Yeah, so you can go get an autograph from those guys if you go to the tailgate zone or the fan zone before the
I
game.
like no cap, and he's the main bird.
Yes, Sean East. It's our Sean East main bird of the week. Kenny, what's your Sean East main bird of the week?
I guess Kenny is just a power rankings fiend because he also selected CBS Sports top 25 college football rankings. Missouri, they come in at number 30 in this one. If you're looking for a bird connection, let's find one quick. The South Carolina Gamecocks.
There you go.
So there you go.
Yeah, wow, rankings feed on 2-on-3 headlines too, Payton. Very
I know.
Very on brand. Very on brand for our on three man. Your main bird of I'm just gonna move swiftly on from that. It's not the real rankings. What's your main bird?
My main bird of the week is going to be I guess the SEC network in general. The bird connection, unfortunately, is the Kansas Jayhawks, but the bird, the actual main, our main bird is going to be the SEC network.
Wait, hang on.
Because
I
they
like
are
no cap, and he's the main bird.
There you go. Like Knowlton mentioned earlier, SEC Nation is making the jaunt over to Columbia. Marty McGee is also going to be in Columbia. I think Paul Feinbaum is doing his show as well in Columbia. So that's pretty cool. They finally got that spotlight. I think was the last time they were in Missouri for the West Virginia game in 2019. I don't recall.
I don't remember them being back there since that game.
Maybe sometime in 23 or 24 when we weren't students anymore. But
yeah,
it's few far and in between the appearances.
Yeah, very cool that at least one show is going there. Hopefully, a bunch of Mizzou fans can pop out to that and show out, because I feel like that's a good effect for having these shows come back. I know I went with a Larry the Lobster sign, but I put Larry Roundtree's face over it back in 2019 for the West Virginia game. One of my better works of art for that. So yeah, pretty cool. SEC Nation will be there. So another pre-game activity to go to if you're a Mizzou fan in town for the Border War. My main bird of the week. You know what? I'll give a bird connection. It's going to go to Mizzou baseball. They showed off the turf is done at the stadium. It looks pretty cool, at least from that aerial view on the left in the outfield. Peyton, I know you have a take on the infield, which we'll get to. Pretty cool. They have the Mizzou logo out there. I like the pinstripes on either side of it. I think that outfield portion looks pretty cool. You know, we've had so many conversations about the facilities with Mizzou baseball and just kind of where they, lag behind overall as a program and the rest of the SEC. But pretty cool, revamped outfield, something to get excited about. I think the outfield looks very cool. But you do not like the infield, Peyton, and I don't disagree with you, I don't think.
Yeah, the infield is tacky. It's too green. The only brown parts are like the actual batter's boxes, the bases and everything. I don't like the green on the infield. It looks bad. I don't like that. Love the outfield, though. I think the outfield looks very good. And I'm just glad that the facility is just getting a much-needed update. Just throwing the program a bone at this point.
Yeah, that's very good news. I agree with you, though. I prefer to see some dirt, even if it's the artificial turf dirt, but it's at least the dirt color is kind of my... I lean toward that as well. So I think you're spot on. But yeah, good news for Mizzou baseball. It looks very cool. Have some nice aerial shots next season. Hopefully the results can change a little bit on the field. Best thing you learned, Peyton? What did you learn?
Best thing I learned this week, we're going with more rankings, and we're going with the rankings. AP Top 25 college football poll was released. Missouri still not in it. They're a bit closer. They got 42 points in the poll, which puts them at 32nd ranked team in the nation. Nothing really. I mean, Tennessee got a nice boost after their win. They went up 2 spots. Alabama falling 13 spots after their loss.
Where did you rank them in your rankings, Peyton? I know we do.
I had them at 22.
Okay.
I had them at 22.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
I dropped them. I had Alabama at 6 before week 1. I dropped them to 25. All the way down.
I mean, I think I had them at 7 or 8. I also did rank Florida State, though the AP has Florida State all the way up to 14. I didn't quite do that.
I think I went 16 or 15, maybe.
I'd have to check again. I was in the 15 to 19 range.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, not a big shakeup.
LSU all the way up to 3 after beating Clemson. Texas down to 7. Ohio State is your new number 1. Miami up to 5. Those are just kind of the big ones.
Yeah, big wins for Miami and LSU. I did not expect. I was pretty high on Notre Dame and Clemson preseason. I still am high on those schools. I mean, they lost to good teams, but yeah, I like that we do our own AP poll. We have something to compare it to. But yeah, not any real shakeups. Although I don't know, we might be changing our predictions when we get to that Alabama game in October for Mizzou. I don't know. Just gonna say that right now while they're down. But yeah, big shakeup for the AP poll. Kenny's best thing he learned, headline here from On3, Eli Drinkwitz delivers heartwarming tribute to late Missouri journalist Ben Arnett after unexpected death. Yeah, this was very good to see from Eli Drinkwitz in his news conference earlier this week. Gave another tribute to Ben Arnett. We, of course, talked about that before our recap of the Central Arkansas game. Obviously, just an incredibly devastating and sad loss for the Mizzou community. And, our heart goes out to him and his family. This is what Drinkwitz said. I just want to acknowledge the passing of a friend in Mizzou. I'm not sure the accurate words to describe Ben, but Thursday after the game, I received the news, and it was difficult to move on in the press conference because of how much Ben meant to so many people, including myself. He was a great man, a great true son, and somebody that I know everybody in this room will miss him greatly, and it seems inappropriate to just move on. But Ben would know there's a story to tell. The story is not finished yet, so we'll keep his family in prayers and continue to tell the story of Mizzou, just like he would. He wrote a nice tweet about it as well on August 29th after the game. And this was very nice to see from Eli Drinkwitz. And obviously, again, Payton, you and I talked about it after the Central Arkansas game. Just an incredibly shocking and devastating loss. And the entire Mizzou community is with Ben. I believe this article also mentions the GoFundMe page for Ben's family. At the time this was written, they had raised $34,000 of their $45,000 goal. So again, love to see the Mizzou community banding together for that. And just it's still incredibly sad and shocking situation, but nice to see some kind words from Eli Drinkwitz, who of course would have interacted with Ben plenty of times in his time on the Mizzou beat.
Yeah, like you said, incredibly shocking and incredibly sad. So Good on Drinkwitz. Very nice statement. Just kind of, it's weird to, like that Ben Arnett is not going to be someone that you can go to check for updates on any sort of story now. I mean, he was one of the mainstays on the beat. So just very, very shocking, very sad.
Yeah. No easy way to segue off of that again. But yeah, good statement there from Eli Drinkwitz. I'll share the best thing I learned this week in the Mizzou world. Not really an athletics piece of news, but kind of fun if you're going to be on campus in February. Grammy-nominated comedian Nate Bargatze is coming to Mizzou Arena in February. He is doing part of his comedy tour, Big Dumb Eyes. It's a world tour. He's pretty funny. I think there's tickets on sale for it. February 21st at Mizzou Arena. I'm a Nate Bargatze fan, so I think this is pretty cool. I probably won't be able to make it to the show, but if you're in the Columbia area, I would definitely suggest you go. I wonder how much Mizzou students know his work. I guess he's kind of come back to a little bit of a resurgence recently, but he's a very funny guy. I would recommend. But yeah, he'll be at Mizzou Arena. All the responses to were funny. Everyone was just clamoring for the Killers to do a show there as well, which is funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too familiar with Nate Bargatze's like actual material. I've heard a ton about him, but I mean, if I were still going to school like at Mizzou, I'd 100% go to this. I mean, it seems like a fun activity. So
yeah, it's cool that they do shows and stuff like that at Mizzou Arena. So there you go. That's my best thing I learned. Before we go, Payton, we have a new segment that I, as promised, was going to return with the start of the NFL football season. We'll see if we keep it at the end of the Friday quick hits or put it somewhere in the middle, but it's best beats of the week, Payton. You don't get to tell your joke just yet. We're bringing back best beats of the week. If you're a long tenured fan of this show, we used to do NFL beats. We're bringing them back. Shout out to FanDuel for all of the lines for this that we'll have. We're going to mix it up. I kind of want to do some themes. Maybe we do like prop bets one week. Maybe we pick a specific game another week if there's a big game in the season. But it's week one. Actually, I should be jealous, Payton, because when everyone who's listening to this right now will have already watched and consumed the first NFL game of 2025, which is exciting. Cowboys-Eagles. But the first week of Sunday football is coming up. So I thought, why not bring back best beats of the week? Brought to you by FanDuel with all the lines. So this one we're going pretty basic, just picking the spread for 3 different games in the NFL this week. We all submitted. Peyton, I will let you go first. What is your pick? Your first best beats segment in what? 2 years? Long time. And we're going to track them. We'll see who does the best at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm going with Bengals, Browns. I'm going to go with the Browns. 5.5 point favorites here.
You mean the Bengals?
Yeah. Sorry, Bengals 5.5.
You could pick the Browns. Shedeur.
No, I'm not taking the Browns. He's also their third quarterback, so I think that's going to be way worse. I know that the Bengals defense is not very good, but the Browns offense is Joe Flacco, who has to be in his 40s now. I'm going to check this, but
he's in. Yeah, he is, because it's him and Rodgers are the 2 over 40.
Yeah. So that's my pick.
All right. So Peyton's got the Bengals minus 5.5 over the Browns. Probably fairly safe, you would think. Kenny's pick, he's not here. He's picking against his own team. The Texans play the Rams. The Rams are 3-point favorites in this. And actually, I'm going to make sure that's true, because I thought I might have wrote it down wrong. But he's picking the Rams as 3-point favorites over the Texans. Peyton, if you have any thoughts on that. I'm not sure how to feel about the Rams or the Texans, actually. Both those teams have weird things. Yeah, Rams -3 is his pick. Oh, and there goes Peyton's computer. Perfect timing. Look at that. I'll remove him from the thing. All right. That's okay. We're wrapping up the show anyway. That just means he can't tell a joke. Brought to you by the Today Show. I'll try and find one. My best beat of the week. I'm going an underdog. Peyton's computer died, by the way. He's filming in an off-site location, if you couldn't tell from his disconnection. His battery died. My pick for this week for my best beats, I'm going with the Raiders over the Patriots. +2.5. Pete Carroll, Geno. They did just have Amari Cooper retire, but they, I don't know. I'm going to stick with them. They have Ashton Genty, rookie running back, who I think is going to be really good. I actually do think the Patriots have a good year with Drake May, but I'm going to pick the Raiders because I wanted to pick a little bit of a dog this week. They are +2.5 against the Pats. So with that note, happy football. I'm sorry, we'll give you a joke on the recap for Kansas. Well, Peyton will send me one and I'll read it because it'll probably be a solo one while they're at the game. So, I'll have a recap from the Kansas game. Just me solo dolo with Peyton and Kenny being there. So stay tuned for that. It'll be pretty quick. No one wants to listen to me talk for 20 minutes straight. But yeah, we'll have a joke then. I'll have Peyton send me one. But yeah, happy NFL. Bets beats of the week will return. Drop your favorite games this week in the comments if you want. No picks for the Chiefs. I decided not to pick them this week, but we'll have a Chiefs bet at some point. That'll do it for the show. Kansas preview. Border War is back. Very excited. Enjoy if you're going to the game. Have fun. I'll have a short recap for you after, and we will have cleanup for it on Sunday or potentially Monday when Peyton and Kenny are back from it, and we can talk even more about it then, because I'm sure will be plenty of discussion no matter how it goes. But we'll see. There's your preview. That'll do it for the Unwritten Rule. We will see you next time. Bye.